The following is a Candlepin Stars and Strikes rebroadcast featuring some of our most memorable programs. Hi everybody, and welcome once again to Park Place Lanes here in Windham, New Hampshire for Candlepin Stars and Strikes. Doug Brown along with Dan Murphy. Hope you're enjoying the holiday season, and of course holiday time means mixed doubles here on Stars and Strikes. Now, it's not 1 o'clock yet. This is Candlepin Stars and Strikes, but we are going to have doubles here for the next few weeks.
Right, and it's mixed doubles, and the only difference between that and the men's doubles format is we have the ladies with us, and the teams bowl every other pair of boxes. Same format, but just starting at 12 o'clock.
It's also a chance to really feature a format that is the least common, I guess, of all the chances that these bowlers get a chance to bowl. It's least often that they get a chance to bowl in a mixed doubles type of situation.
Especially in front of the cameras and lights and the Scotch doubles format, yes, very unique.
All right, we're going to meet all the teams, of course, and after our break, we'll let you know the other teams that have qualified for this series, a total of 5 teams in all, of course, during our 4 weeks. But let's meet our first 2 teams for this week's show. First of all, our number 5 seeded team from Amesbury, Massachusetts, Dennis Shute, and his partner from Nashua, New Hampshire, Dottie Lawruk.
Okay, and Dennis comes in averaging 122, roll-off score at 632. Dottie Lawruk at 110 average, and her roll-off score 602.
Of course, you used to see Dottie on the air every once in a while because she used to work the big scoreboard here. She still does work the big scoreboard, but we don't show it anymore, so she figured this was the only way she could get on camera.
That's right, yeah, she'll do very well, but she can't add up her own score. She has to have somebody else do that.
All right, and of course, Dennis and Dottie will have opponents in the number 4 seeded spot, and that team is made up of Joe Rollins from Nottingham, New Hampshire, and his partner from Pennacook, Toni Austin.
Okay, and Joe comes in averaging 117, roll-off score of 625. Toni Austin at 110 average, and her roll-off score 612.
First appearance on our show for both Joe Rollins and Toni Austin, and they'll be looking forward to that, and we'll be looking forward to this program, our first of 4 weeks on mixed doubles here on Stars and Strikes. Of course, we have our bonus ball contest. It'll be up to $60 at the end of this week's show, and we have all of this to attend to, starting with the first of our 3 strings of mixed doubles right after this first break here on Stars and Strikes. Don't go away. All right, a 4-week series of mixed doubles here on Candlepin Stars and Strikes, and welcome back. And again, hope you're enjoying your holidays with us, and hard to believe the new year is about to begin. And we're about to begin this 4-week series, and here's the way it looks with Dennis Shute and Dottie Lawruk, our number 5 seed. They will face the team of Joe Rollins and Toni Austin today. You notice the scores 3rd and 4th tied. There was a 1-string roll-off. John Maffio and Louise Hamilton won that 1-string roll-off by a score of 126 to 111. So by virtue of that, they took over the number 3 spot. Bob Mazur and Marlene Broder, our number 2 seeded team. Mike Sargent and Vi Byron are our top-seeded team, and of course we'll see them in 3 weeks as we move toward the end of our mixed doubles series. But for right now, we've got 3 strings of bowling to get to today, and Dennis Shute is going to get us started. And the last time Dennis Shute was here, Dan, was a long time ago, but he was very, very successful. He won 4 consecutive singles matches. That was back in early 1988. Came up from the number 4 seeded spot and won 4 matches in a row to win a series championship.
1988. Seems like only yesterday. Oh well, day before. 1, 3, 6, and 7 left for Dennis. And we failed to mention the opening of the show, the team of Rollins and Austin is their first appearance. It's also the first appearance, at least bowling, for Dottie Lawruk. Dennis slides by on the left, still looking at the 1, 3, 6.
And he starts with a 9 bucks. Again, the men and the women for this mixed doubles competition enter separate roll-offs, and then they are combined. The teams are combined by virtue of the scores in each of those roll-offs. For instance, Dennis Shute was the number 3 finisher in the men's roll-off. Dottie Lawruk was the number 3 finisher in the ladies' roll-off. Their scores were added together, and then the teams were reseeded. How about that for a shot for Dennis Shute?
Great spare, 3, 6, 4, 7. He needs some help from the right sidewall. He almost cuts the 3-pin over, but the 4-pin comes across for the 6-pin comes across for the 4 and the 7.
So after the scores are added together, the teams are reseeded. We get our first look now at Joe Rollins.
left-hander, does his bowling at the Exeter lanes in Exeter, New Hampshire.
As I started to say, after the top 5 seeds are determined in each of the men's and women's roll-off, the number 1 woman, for instance, is paired with the number 5 men's finisher, the number 2 woman with the number 4 men's finisher, and so on. And then the scores are added together, and then the teams are reseeded, which is why obviously the high score helps in your roll-off, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you'll be seated in any particular spot. Joe Rollins starts with an 8. Joe making his first appearance, as we mentioned. Joe and his wife Brenda live in Nottingham, New Hampshire, over near the coast. And they have a 16-month-old daughter, Rebecca.
Well, there's a break. I was going to say that was a good-looking ball going in the 1-2 pocket, but at first he had the 9 and the 10 left, and finally a piece of wood came over and knocked down the 9 pin. He's taking a good look at this because you can see that wood is rested against the sidewall, so it's liable to snap away from the 10 pin. He's probably going to want to try to hit right on the red line and drive it straight back. Not an easy shot.
Joe, by the way, works for Sullivan Tire, which means I'm going to have to ask him if he's ever ridden in the blimp. Lots of studying on the shot.
Yeah, it's taking a lot of time.
No, off to the left. Never gave it a chance.
Obviously, that's not what he wanted to do. And that's what I was talking about.
Wasn't there. The wood a roadblock, and 2 opens for Joe Rollins, and that will lead us to our first look on camera for real at Dottie Lawruk. Of course,
Dottie scoreboard Lawruk.
That's right. Dottie used to, of course, work the big scoreboard on camera for us, and then we went to the computer scoreboard, and Dottie's still here, though. She keeps the big scoreboard for the bowlers and for the fans here at Park Place Lane, so they can keep track of the scores during the taping. But Dottie, of course, in all seriousness, has been a fine Candlepin bowler for quite some time now.
She's looking at the 5-pin, couple pieces of wood resting in front of it. She's going to the left. Not a bad idea. 2 in a row for the team of Shute and Lawruk.
Seven drop this time.
And a little more difficult. 3-6 and the 7 pin in the left-hand corner. Going to try to split the 3 and the 6. Dottie, a 4-step approach.
And a 9 box, so 54 for the team through 4. And now our first look at our 4th bowler of the day, Toni Austin from Pennacook.
Sliding off to the left, half Worcester left, 2 in the 8. Toni not wasting any time up there.
A funny story about when Toni qualified for the show.
Yes, that's right. She does a lot of bowling, does most of her bowling at the Bowell's Bowling Center in Concord, New Hampshire, so I know Toni quite well. And after she had bowled in the first shift, she was the leader in the clubhouse. The roll-off score, as I mentioned, was 6-12. So when she came through the door to bowl in Concord that very same day, I said, "You came in second," which meant she made the show. She says, "Oh no, I was hoping you were going to tell me I was 6th. She was so nervous. They'd try in the 7-10. She likes to compete, she says, but I'm not sure I wanted to go on the show. But she's here. And make it a 10. So it's 35 after 4, and it's a 19-pin advantage for the team of Shute and Lawruk.
And now back around to Dennis Shute.
Dennis is looking at the 4 horsemen at first, and the 3 and the 6 went down. So now he's got the 1 and the 10. Piece of deadwood in between.
Taking a while to wait for that wood to settle. You never know. It may be a factor in the shot, even though it's behind there, depending on which way the ball moves.
Well, we'll never know. Give himself a real good chance. Because he was shooting for that head pin. As Doug mentioned, even if he hit the head pin flush, you never know what the head pin was going to do. Well, wood didn't help either, so it's a 9-box, 63.
The women's roll-off for this mixed doubles series was held at the Lakeside Lanes in Manchester, and the men's roll-off was held at Fun Spot, Weirs Beach.
1, 8, and 10 left for Dennis, and this time, again, he has to hit the head pin to give himself a shot at making this spare. Looks a little better this time.
Yes. So for the second time, Dennis Shute picks up a mark over on lane 31.
And it's been all Dottie, Lawruk, and Dennis Shute so far. 3 marks in the match, all for that team. 3 spares.
And Joe Rollins is right through the center. Not a bad effort. I want to say hello to our friend Emmett Horgan and all the nice people at Rockingham Toyota Dodge Nissan in Salem, New Hampshire. One of our participating sponsors for this mixed doubles series here on Stars and Strikes. Rockingham Toyota Dodge Nissan. Come to Salem and save. And of course, we hope a lot of you followed our Christmas gift advice here on Stars and Strikes and gave some of those you love either Tri-State Megabucks season tickets or perhaps gift certificates for Candlepin bowling at your nearest New Hampshire Candlepin Bowling Association house. And
Ooh, it's too high in the wood. Went too far right, capped the wood. The wood went one way, the ball went the other, and the 3 and 6 still stand. And that's a 10-box. Watch the ball cap the piece of wood right there.
right around it.
Dottie Lawruk for the spare that Dennis put up for in the 6th frame.
Right on the head pin again, and an 8-pin drop.
He's going to be looking at the 5 and the 9. Well, we have to watch now. The piece of wood in between. If she splits it, the ball's liable to deflect around the 9. No, she's heavy on the 5-pin, which helped her. Again, 2 marks in a row.
4th spare for the team. You see 91 in the 7th with a ball to come. And the winners of this match will come back next week to face John Maffio and Louise Hamilton. The runners-up today will share 5th place prize money of $150.
Triangle, 3, 5, 6 for Dottie.
Nope. .108 through 8. And the team of Rollins and Austin with some work to do here in the early going. As we get another look at Toni Austin.
Right in the pocket. This time, and
Yes!
it's a strike.
Fell the right way.
She's looking at the 4-7 for a while, and the 4 tipped forward, then backwards, and forward and backwards a second time, and into the 7-pin it fell with a strike.
First mark for the team. Toni Austin threw a strike in the roll-off game as well.
She was right back in the 1-3 pocket that time, but this time 2, 4, 5, 7 left. It's 8 on the strike.
and a 9, so they don't lose any ground in those two frames, but the lead is still 27 for the team of Shute and Lawruk. Dennis Shute.
Triangle right-hand corner, 6, 9, 10, and all kinds of help out in front.
Dennis Shute looking for a spare in the 9th, and he's got it. That's the 5th for the team.
He just drives the wood straight back into the 6, 9, and 10.
And a 7 fill.
And he leaves himself the 1, the 2, and the 7, 1, 2, and the 4 pins. And just pitches the head pin. And he's going to finish. Each time they get a mark, they follow with another one. And you see the 2nd in this pair. That spares in the 2nd and the 3rd, the 6th and the 7th, and now the 9th and the 10th frames. And they're going to have a pretty good opening game.
9 drop. We apologize for the technical difficulties here on Stars and Strikes, but we are back.
Gotta hurry.
No.
He's just a little late when he's releasing the ball. As a left-hander, if you release late, the ball is going to be to the left. A right-hander, if you release a little early, that's going to be off to the right. So it's a matter of timing. And again, he fought that ball to get it out in front of him. So it's going to be a substantial lead for the team of Dennis Shute and Dottie Lawruk this opening game.
10 in the 10th. And there you see it. 144 for Shute and Lawruk, 96 for Rollins and Austin. 2 games to go, though, here on Stars and Strikes. Mixed doubles, week 1, and we'll be back. We had a little technical problem during the first game with 6 marks. Dennis Shute and Dottie Lawruk with a 144. And Joe Rollins and Toni Austin with a 96. Toni Austin's strike, the only mark for the team in that first game, and Toni starts things off here in game 2.
Right through the middle with the first ball, and then she takes out the 6 pin with the second, so. And make it a 7 box.
Toni and her husband Steve have 5 children: Kevin, Karen, Stephanie, William, and George. And they also have a 2-year-old granddaughter, Andrea. Toni is self-employed, by the way.
And a lot of the children bowl.
Is that right?
Yes. Good out by Toni. But right now they need marks. You should notice the women start the middle string. And then just like the men's format, the start of the 3rd string, they will decide who will bowl the extra 2 boxes. In other words, who will start that 3rd string off.
Dottie Lawruk off target, but has the 1, 3, 9, and 10 to shoot at with wood. At least for the moment, with wood.
1, 3, 9, 10. Playing on the outside, well, in between, right flush on the head pin, drove it straight back, still looking at 3 pins.
I'll mention a couple of pieces of mail here in a second. As Dottie goes out with a 10, a rather stylish looking 10 bucks. We'll get another look at that.
Just touches the 3 pin, goes off the sidewall into the 10, and then finally the 9 pin goes down.
I want to acknowledge Jerry Crimmins, a good friend of Stars and Strikes from down in Watertown, Mass. He's been at our taping several times, and he jotted us a line just to let us know how much he enjoys the program. And in fact, he enjoys it so much they don't carry the Winds on cable down in Watertown yet. So Jerry has a friend of his tape the show, and they like trade tapes. This brings up a whole new venture. We might be able to sell this show on home video or something. Bring up a whole new trend. Dottie for the spare.
Same type of shot she just had on lane 32, but the opposite side of the lane. And didn't quite get the kick off the sidewall for the 7-pin.
Couple of 10s for Dottie.
I'd like to mention one article, too, that was in the paper, which is kind of interesting. Us being, well, the forerunner in presidential campaigning and things because of our primary. But I guess the candidates really have to know. Get over there. That's a strike.
First mark. And it's a strike. It was fighting him, but the 8-pin kicked out of there.
You see the replay. There goes the 5, and then finally the 8. And this is an article in the Concord Monitor. And these people from across the country who are running for president, when they get into New England, they must know the type of bowling and where to campaign.
Well, it's important to know if you're going to do a campaign photo opportunity, you want to make sure you do something that doesn't offend anybody.
That's right. And this one, just quickly to the presidential candidate Bill Clinton. I saw your picture November 15th in Concord Monitor. Although you did have your left shoe on your right foot, I did notice with dismay. That's a
nice spare by Joe Rollins. We'll get another look at it. Spare on strike.
There you see. She goes on, or he goes on to say, or she, I'm not sure. I noticed that with dismay, you were holding the wrong bowling ball. If you want any chance whatsoever in the Northeast, you have to change your alleys. Any self-respecting bowler knows that in the Northeast, candlepin bowling is the way to go. And she goes on to say that I would even give him some free lessons, and that's absolutely right. So if you're going to campaign in New England, boy, you better get into those candlepin lanes.
Now, speaking of new businesses, Dan, this could open up whole new ventures for you. Candlepin bowling lessons for presidential candidates?
I'll tell you.
Get into...
Probably further my political aspirations, huh?
Or ruin them.
Yes.
That's another 10 for the team of Shute and Lawruk. Opposite a couple of marks here by Joe Rollins, who heated things up there in the 3rd and 4th, so team trying to cut into that deficit.
I should mention that's H.C. Cunning from Pennacook who put that article in the paper, and we thank you for that. Oh, that wood slid around nice for him. He's got the 5-pin and a piece of wood flat against, well, actually it's out in front, but it is facing him. Should be no problem.
I can see it now. It'll be a required thing not too long from now for every presidential candidate to pose with you. We'll take a break. Each team with a spare up in the 4th. We'll be back. Toni Austin now working on a mark for the team. Actually working on consecutive marks for the team, left by her partner, Joe Rollins. This on a spare.
Got the head pin, 7-pin drop, the 2, the 5, and the 7 left. Got to hurry, get the 2-pin. Not going to happen. Just leaves the ball to the right.
Before we go any farther, I just want to make a quick correction. In case I mispronounced the last name, we were talking about one of our pieces of mail during the last segment. Jerry Krimis, I believe, is how he pronounces his last name, from Watertown. In any event, Jerry's a good friend of the program, and we appreciate hearing from him, as always. And we hope, like Jerry, that you will become a visitor here to Park Place Lanes for our regular taping sessions. A little bit later on, we'll fill you in on when our next one will be.
Just to the left. Toni seems to have settled down a little bit. Came right in the head pin pretty well the last 2 boxes. Trying to get the 10-pin for a 10 box, and she does that. Now Dottie Lawruk will fill the mark in the 4th frame for her team.
The high-low jack with wood. That, by the way, a 7 fill, of course. Maybe. Got a chance. No. team of Rollins and Austin has cut 6 pins off the lead so far here in the second game. So the lead is 42.
Team of Shute and Lawruk have not left the pin standing this game so far. 3 10 boxes, a spare 7, and another 10.
They've only left 3 standing the whole match.
There's Dottie right back on the head pin, this time real light. The ball actually looked like it was breaking from left to right a little bit. Cluster of 5 in the left-hand corner, but also the 10 pin.
Maybe. No, how about
boy.
that? Boy, that was one of the pins you figured would go if
I thought the
you hit
problem
the wood
would
correctly.
I thought the problem would be the 10 pin. I agree. And then it looked like the 7 pin was finally going to go, but still perfect.
This one's tough.
Joe Rollins now, who came up last time and fired strike spare for his first marks of the match. A little short. Again, that's been his problem, coming up short on the head pin.
Cluster 4, 1, 3, 6, and the 7, 8 pin, and make it to 9. We'll get them.
There's 4 of them up there.
Yeah, I got that right.
Well, this wood, of course, could be a factor in between. Missing the object pin, though. With the ladies on the program here for our mixed doubles series, might be an appropriate time to mention that a 5-member team from New Hampshire won the 1991 Canadian Ladies Candlepin Championships last month up in Halifax, Nova Scotia, just outside of Halifax. Deb Regan, Deb DeRocher, Peggy Tosi, Janet Pock, and Carol Downey.
Big strike off the ball of Joe Rollins.
He seems to have it going a little bit here.
Yeah. Strike in the 8th.
It's the 3rd strike for the team. As I mentioned, that 5-lady team winning the Canadian Ladies Candlepin Championships, they were tied with a team from St. John's after 19 strings, and they had to go to a 1-string roll-off after all that. And they won the roll-off. So congratulations to those 5 ladies for their victory. And how about
Nice
that?
spare.
Spare for Dennis Shute.
Spare in the 7th for Dennis. A great shot. 4 horsemen left, right, plus the 8 pin. And there you see, just split the 1 and the 3. The head pin came back to help him out with the 8 pin. Now he's going to fill that spare right back on the head pin. 8 pin drop. Now he's looking at the 4 and the 10. And looks to me like he's going to have to go right at the 4 pin, and then he's going to need some help for the 10. Well, he tried to split the wood, but I didn't think he could get much action off the way the wood was situated, and that's exactly what didn't happen. Now he'll try to grab one.
So that makes 94 through 8. Now, as Toni Austin comes up here in the 8th, she's working on a strike left by her partner, so a chance to get a fill here and try and cut into this big lead. And there is a nice opening ball, a 9 drop.
That close to a double strike. She's got to be careful, that wood.
Looks to be right on it. Yes,
She does.
right on the cap, in fact. Spare on strike.
You made the reference to Joe Rollins and Toni Austin also seem to both have settled down the second game and got the nerves out of the way. And Toni's right back
Wow.
on the head pin. Oh, look at that.
That could have been a triple strike.
Absolutely. Solid 9-pin drop on lane 32, left the 5, and that time leaves the 10 and actually pushes it. Ooh, just sliding by.
Wow, that could be a critical miss right there. They were just starting to put some offense up.
The scary part of it is it didn't push it off its mark. She might have covered it. But a good finish and a great game of 132.
228, 2-string total.
It's a pretty good game with 4 marks, 132. So they made them count. Strike spare in the 3rd, 4th, and the 8th and 9th frames. Dottie Lawruk for the final 2 boxes for her team.
And Dottie punched through the center. Triangle left, the 4, 7, 8, and then the 6 pin over on the right. Kind of an unusual leave. Whoa!
Gave it a good try. Went after the triangle in the left-hand corner and actually cut the 4-pin all the way across the lane, and it ended up behind the 6-pin.
$9. Well, as of right now, the lead is 29, as you see. Dottie is opposite of $10 here in the 10th. Dottie and her husband John have 2 children, Deanna and Buddy, who's in the Air Force, and they live in Nashua. Dottie does a lot of her bowling at the Leda Lanes in Nashua and at the Londonderry Bowling Center. And a lot of her scorekeeping here at Park Place Lanes.
1-3-7 left for Dottie.
No. And a $7 it is, so a 110. And the team of Rollins and Austin picks up 3 more pins in count in that final box. So there is the story. The lead has been cut almost in half after this middle game. 26 is the difference. And we'll be back with our third and final game on Stars and Strikes in a minute. To start our third game, Dennis Shute. That lead, which was 48 at the end of 1, is now down to 26. So, going to be a little concerned, I think, at this point.
Yes, because really, I mean, you mentioned it could have been a triple strike for Toni Austin at one point. Matter of a couple pins, and that would have been a swing of 60 or 70 more pins. So, but they still have the lead. That is Dennis Shute and Dottie Lawruk.
This leave an interesting one because of the wood that's right directly behind the head pin. Dennis waited for it to settle, but not enough happening. It'll be a 9 to open game 3. Our presenting sponsor, as always, here on Candlepin Stars and Strikes, Tri-State Megabucks. Just imagine being rich. Give Tri-State Megabucks a try. You never know.
1-3. 8 and 10 left for Dennis.
Ooh, fine effort, but the 10 pin is still there. So an open pair, I should say, for Dennis Shute. That gives Joe Rollins something to shoot at here.
Trying to keep that momentum they built up in that second game going into this third.
Right through the middle.
Got away from him that time. Still looking at 5 pins.
The team of John Maffio and Louise Hamilton await the winners of this match as Joe slips off with a 6 there to open. But at least it doesn't cost them much. It cost them 3 pins in count, but what they need are marks, of course. This time he crosses over into the Brooklyn pocket, and look at the 8 pin.
Well, let's see where the wood settles down. It may, well, better with the wood than without. He's got a couple choices, both pieces of wood. Well, let's see where it settled down first before we start analyzing anything here. Well, I think his choices now are to the one farthest to the right. Seems like the best angle of the tube, although it might come in contact with the front piece and kill the shot.
Right.
Well, he's high on it. Ball came back.
Wow. That was very, very close. That ball is still on the plate. Now, let's see what it does here. It may roll off. That ball took a rather interesting route across the plate. It came across in front of the 8 pin and then came all the way over to the right channel, and it looked like it was going to go off, and then it went back the other way. Now, if that had knocked into that again, that's still a legal shot, right?
Sure.
You just wait for that to kind of roll around.
That's right.
10 bucks.
Kind of a disappointing 10 bucks, really, because Joe threw a pretty good ball in there, left the 7-8. It's a tough piece of wood. And what happened is that they lost 2 more frames that they needed to get some marks in, so they're down to 8. And lead is 29.
Dottie Lawruk is in the pocket on the Brooklyn side and leaving the 6-9. No.
That's what you don't want to do. You bowlers out there, you have 2 pins up. You're not trying to split those 2 pins. Each one of the shots has an object pin. In this case, it's a 6. If you miss the 6, you don't give yourself much of a chance of making it. So you want to be thinking 1 pin. You want to be thinking that 6 pin. And that happens in most shots. Either the pin is standing up or laying down. The pin you need to hit to give yourself the best chance of making the spare.
Another nice pocket hit, and look at the split. 7-10.
Well, here's the case in point. I think you have to play the wood, even though it's pointing right at her. She's got to have some help. See if we can get the dead wood moving, one way or the other.
Let's see if it works. No, she missed it. You might have heard her. She knew she had lost it off to the right. So it's 2 more open frames, and Toni Austin a chance to come up. And Toni has been throwing the ball very well the last couple of times she's been up there. She's back in the pocket again. Watch out! She turned away and got 2 more pins.
She's looking at the 9 pin, and let's see where that wood's going to settle down.
May even roll off.
Or
or not. Well, this may take a little while.
how does it find it? You know, it looks like it's going to be in the worst possible. No, I guess it's rolling away.
It's not done yet, I don't think.
You wonder why sometimes it ends up right in front of the pin you want to shoot at. Almost that like it knows.
It's getting there. Remember, this is for a spare. What an agonizing wait this is for a spare that you really need.
Tell me that doesn't look like a pencil standing up there by now.
It's still moving, although...
All right, settle down now. She's going to have a shot at the 9 pin. Got to watch the wood.
Oh,
that's
boy.
the problem.
Perfect wrong spot, as you said. The exact wrong spot to have that wood in. Just too close to the pin to get by it successfully.
Of course, the weight didn't help her. But as Doug said, she's thrown the ball very well the last few boxes, and this time just missing the head pin. 1, 3, 6, 7 left. Neither team has the benefit of a mark this third game, as of yet anyways.
Well, the team of Rollins and Austin still with a chance, but they've let 4 boxes slip away here. We will take a timeout and come back. 6 boxes to go in Game 3. The lead is now 27 for the team of Shute and Lawruk. Don't go away. Here's Dennis Shute. His team's still in the lead. Just coming up short of the pocket. Dennis from Amesbury, Mass. works for AT&T Technologies as a draftsman. As we mentioned, this is the first time in almost 4 years that Dennis has been with us.
Next week's challengers, as Doug mentioned earlier in the show, Louise Hamilton from Derry, and a guy named John Maffio has been showing up quite regularly lately, and he's back with us in the mixed doubles format. And he's from Goffstown, New Hampshire. 46 at the halfway point, third game.
Big 8 drop. And here's the 6-9. This is the same leave that Dottie Lawruk had a little while ago, although Dennis will have a piece of wood too. Or maybe not. And he missed it. So, once again, there will be an opportunity for Joe Rollins. A defensive struggle here in game 3. Joe puts a couple of marks up here. This thing could get interesting.
Everything but this 4-pin. A little guide next to it.
Looking for the spare, and he's right on it.
Crossover in lane 32, and he'll fill this box, or this spare himself, because it's the first box of his 2. And he'd like to leave one up there for his partner.
That's 6 marks for the team. 3 spares and 3 strikes. Oh, my.
Well, hit the object pin, the head pin, but flush, went right through the middle, spread eagle, and only a 4 on the spare.
Well, it'll come down to the final 4 boxes. Of course, the spread eagle costing the team of Rollins and Austin on the fill. They do end up gaining 4 pins in that exchange. The lead is now 23.
A 23-pin lead. That's roughly 3 marks more than the opponent with only 4 frames remaining. Dottie could really put some pressure on with a mark or 2.
Again, Dottie throws a pretty good ball, but it was full, and she leaves most of the back row.
7, 8, 10, and well, she's probably going to try the piece of wood on the right as low as she can go to deflect that one toward the 10-pin, and hopefully the ball will slide to the left and help on the other 2. That's what she's trying. That's what she does. Nice shot. Just clips the one on the right. Watch the flight of the ball into the other 2 pieces of wood. And she actually gets them all moving.
That's the 9th mark for the team. All 9 of them have been spares, but the first one they've had in 10 boxes.
And that's going to put some pressure on the team of Rollins and Austin. 3, 6, 10 left for Dottie, and she wants that wood to stop. Well, she's going to have a shot at the 3-pin. She wants to stay away from the wood because she throws the ball slow. This ball's going to deflect. Yeah. She wants to stay away from that front, especially the slower ball. A man throwing it, or somebody throws harder, some of the other women throw a little harder than Dottie might have drove the ball through, but
Dottie waiting for that wood now.
Dottie very deliberate. Her work is done for today, 83 through 8. And Toni Austin looking at her final 2 and thinking marks, preferably strikes.
Let's see. Ooh, toward the pocket, but broke a little bit full at the end.
Difficult. 2, 4, 7 on the left and the 10-pin. Toni misses half the action. She throws the ball and turns around and comes back for another one, and the pins are still falling. She probably figures, well, there's not much else I can do. I threw the ball, and whatever happens, happens, and I'll see it when I turn back around. There's Toni right up, it's just sliding by on the left. 1, 3, 7, 10.
Just missing the head pin. And a 9 box. So the lead will be 32 rather, going into the final 2. As Dennis Shute steps up. Looking for his 5th win in a row overall here on Stars and Strikes.
Dennis has seemed to have lost the head pin, especially this last game. Well, we saw it happen a few weeks ago with Bob Mazur needing strikes, and that's what Joe Rollins is going to need.
He'll need at least 2 at this point. Depending on what Dennis does with this shot.
And he's got the spare.
There's the spare. Critical one right there. Now, depending on what Dennis throws here, he might be able to close Joe out. The 10th mark for the team, all spares. They had 6 spares in the first game. They threw a 144. That's when they built up that big lead. Dennis for the final ball of the day, and it's just a 3 fill. So it'll be a 105 and a 3-string total 359.
Well, needs about 5 in a row. He's going to need a lot of strikes.
Yep.
We won't get too excited until he gets at least
4.
2.
Yeah.
But really, actually, the first game is the one that really did him in. He had a tough time getting untracked. And Dennis Shute and Dottie Lawruk build up a 49-pin, 48-pin advantage after 1, and that was enough. Tough break there. That'll do it.
So Dennis Shute and Dottie Lawruk will advance to our second week against John Maffio and Louise Hamilton. Of course, don't go away. We've got the bonus ball coming up, and we're going to talk to the bowlers and take care of some other business. We have $60 in the bonus ball contest this week. And let's see, Joe will have a spare leave here in the 10th. And there it is. Mark number 7 for the team. Joe looking at the scoreboard, he knows there's not much he can do now unless he can throw about a 50-pin ball here on this final one.
He throws it hard, he'll subtract pins off the other team.
Well, there's your indication of what you said earlier, Dan. The team of Rollins and Austin wins 2 of the 3 games. But because of that first game, the big string by Dennis Shute and Dottie Lawruk, that lead holds up. And the final totals, there you see them. 359 to 334. Shute and Lawruk advance. And we'll be back to talk to the bowlers in a minute. Welcome back to Candlepin Stars and Strikes, and on the way up to visit us, our runners-up for this week's show, Toni Austin. Glad to have you with us, and Joe Rollins. I know first time here for both of you, and it's always nice to get that first check. So we're going to give you that first check right now. We get 5th place prize money for you, and boy, the first string was it, huh? You had things going after that. You were able to put some marks together.
Yeah, we didn't do very well the first string. They did great.
Right, they really put that big string up, and that hurts.
Once they get that, boy, it's almost all over.
Well, we appreciate and enjoyed having you here for the first time, and hopefully you'll be back again and visit us real soon. Thanks very much. All right, Toni Austin and Joe Rollins, thanks very much. And now we'll have Dottie Lawruk representing the team of Shute and Lawruk, rolling our bonus ball here as we try and give away $60. We hope we have received your postcards through the holiday crunch and give you a chance to win the jackpot here, as well as maybe a set of bowling balls. Well, Dottie has thrown a 4, so Dottie and Dennis, come on over here, and we'll talk in just a second. I'm going to try and reach out and get a 4 here. Well, unfortunately, this does not have... Oh, no, it has a 7 on it. I had to read through the note first from Virginia Kearns of Portsmouth, New Hampshire. So thanks for the note, Virginia. We'll be sending you a consolation gift for having your postcard drawn. But the jackpot, of course, goes up to $70 next week. And congratulations. You knew this was the only way you were going to get on the air, right? If you
Right,
you qualified for the show. Oh, it was obviously the first string helped you guys out. You were able to hold on after that.
Oh, yeah, we had started off with a real big lead, and I think I sort of slowed down after.
Dennis, your first time here in a while, but you're on a nice little winning streak here now.
5 in a row. I'd like to keep it going.
All right, well, next week we'll see if you do. We're going to have John Maffio and Louise Hamilton in, and we'll see you then. All right?
Okay,
All right,
thanks.
thanks very much. Dennis Shute and Dottie Lawruk. We're going to have Dan Murphy slide in here, and we'll have another look at our ladder as we fill you in on what's coming up next week. And again, John Maffio and Louise Hamilton had to go through that extra string roll-off to get that number 3 spot. So now they'll see if they can make that stand up against Dennis Shute and Dottie Lawruk.
It's going to be an interesting matchup because Louise hasn't been with us. Of course, John Maffio has made several appearances, so kind of a mixed team there. It'd be interesting to see how it shapes up.
And, of course, you see the names in the weeks ahead. Bob Mazer and Marlene Broder, our number 2-seeded team, and the number 1-seeded team, Mike Sargent and Vi Byron. They'll be here in 3 weeks. Don't forget, stay tuned for Stars and Strikes doubles, yes, coming up right after this. And, of course, next Sunday at 12 noon, we'll be here for another week in our series of mixed doubles, starting at 12 noon here on Stars and Strikes. For Dan Murphy and the whole TV50 Sports crew, until then, Doug Brown, bye-bye from Park Place Lanes.